Hey, what's going on with the YouTube? It's your boy Trending Ken, back again with some news you could use, man. And today, we got MO3, man. But before I get into that, you know what I need you to do. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell, man. Get in the comment section if you don't want to subscribe. Then we can have dialogue about it, and you can come back later and subscribe, man. You could be anywhere in the world you want to be, but you right here with me, man. Trending Ken. Hit that subscribe button. It won't cost you nothing. Well, I want to start by saying rest in peace to MO3, man. MO3 was a very talented guy, man, that will not be replaced, and you can't take that away from him. However, you know, he made some decisions that ultimately cost him his life, and I just want to highlight some of them decisions that he made so that people coming up won't make those same decisions. Now, when we young, we very impressionable, and things that we see around us, we want to imitate those, you know. I've been guilty of that myself, you know, wanting to be like the guy who had all the money and this, that, and the other. You know, in the streets, there's more than one guy that's out there. You have hustlers, you have pimps, you have killers, you have scammers, robbers, so many different things you can choose to do in the streets. Not saying that any of them are good, but you know, some are worse than others. Mo3 wanted to be known as a guy, a stepper. He wanted to be known as a shooter, as somebody who will hurt you, you know, and the problem with that is karma is one problem with that. You know, what goes around comes around. Another problem with that is those guys don't really last too long. You know, you can bully somebody for a long time, and then one day the person that you bully had enough, and that be the same person that come around and take you out. Not saying that's what happened in his situation, but it's, you know, noted in world history that if you keep bullying somebody, one day they gonna just have enough. I mean, because they done already took a butt whooping. You know how many more butt whoopings they can take before they just say, hey, I'm gonna fight back today. So Mo3's biggest mistakes was, one, the women that he chose to be around. Now, we know who Mo3 is. He's a worldwide star. You know, so when you on that type of level or whatever, you have choices of all the women that you want to be around. You know, the model girls, the IG girls, the this, that, and the others. You know what I'm saying? You got access to all these different kind of women. He chose to deal with women in a certain neighborhood that his ops reside in, which is a no-no. You do not do that. Anybody who's really from the streets know that you do not fraternize with the ops women. You definitely don't be in the neighborhood trying to hang out with them. You don't go spending the night over there. Hell, you don't really talk to them, period. But what he did was he started relationships with these girls, and he went over there, spent the night, hung out. All that was a no-no. You know what I'm saying? That's like unlacing your own shoes and tripping over your own laces. That's essentially what that is. And that's essentially what he did. So one of the biggest mistakes that he did was dealing with the wrong women. You cannot fraternize with the ops' women and be over there and think that it's all good. Another mistake that he made was taunting the enemy. You know, the enemy is from the same hood of these women that you dealing with, right? So you over there, you taking pictures of the kids with your chain on and money, this, that, and the other, in the ops neighborhood with the ops' girls, with the ops kids, and you post that type of picture online, and you think that you're not gonna get a negative reaction behind that. All is fair in war, but one thing for sure, you can't put yourself in a situation where you're surrounded by people who don't like you, you know, all for some girls. You can't do that. Another mistake that he made was, you know, trying to befriend the friends of the opposition. So not only are you putting yourself in this neighborhood messing with these girls, but you're trying to befriend people that's from that neighborhood that is loyal to those other guys one way or another. Now, granted, you do have the bag, you do have a big name, you're shining, everybody gonna want to ride your coattail. That sounds good, but these people are from over there. So when it all boils down to it, their allegiance lies over there. You can't befriend the friend of the enemy. You almost crossing your own self out with that. If you're going to choose the streets, you know, unfortunately, I would advise you to choose something that's profitable. You know, and the streets are not profitable. But one thing about it, if you want to be the shooter guy, well, that's a dead-end street right there. You know, at least be about the money. MO3 said himself he wasn't in the hustling. You know, that was too tedious for him. So he chose the route of a stepper, of a shooter, that type of a guy. And I don't know if that was naturally in him, but one thing I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, usually the most dangerous guy in the neighborhood is the brokest guy. And if you don't believe me, go out to your block right now and stand in the crowd with the rest of your little homies or whatever, and the guy who keep talking about, man, I'll slap that dude, I'll rob that dude, I'll do this to that person, you know, pocket watch him for a second. I bet you he the brokest person out there. You know what I'm saying? The brokest guys be the most dangerous guys in most cases. You know, so when you see a guy, he all about shooting and killing and hurting people, it's because he have no hustle. It's his last resort. It's like he's lashing out on society and other people because he failed at everything. You know what I'm saying? Can't get a job didn't work out, couldn't hustle right, kept fumbling the packs, couldn't pimp on the chicks because they kept running off. You know, all kind of things went bad for him. Couldn't graduate school, you know, because he couldn't read, this, that, and the other. Not saying this is MO3 case, but I'm saying this is what makes that dangerous guy an absolute failure. You know, he failed at everything, so he just want to take everything from everybody. So when you see a guy who just completely about that violence, pocket watch him. I bet you he the brokest guy out there. Another mistake that MO3 made, in my opinion, was just trying to get the certain neighborhood's attention. It seemed like for whatever reason he was trying to get Dallas's attention, and he was trying very hard to get Dallas to accept him. We all know MO3 is from McKinney. It's very close to Dallas, so you could just say from Dallas. But from what I seen from him, he was trying very hard to get some respect from Dallas, in a certain neighborhood at that. He wanted respect from certain people in certain areas in Dallas. And that's a downfall too, because you're going over, you're getting into it with people from over here, doing stuff to people over there, and these people are from over there, so it's not going to work out right. So I don't know what that was, why he wanted the attention of certain people. Why was it so big for him to say, I'm from Dallas and not, you know, McKinney, where I'm really from? You from where you from. You do what you do. I'm pretty sure they got hitters in McKinney too. But in my opinion, it seemed like he was trying to get Dallas's attention for whatever reason, and it just didn't work out. Another big mistake he made was trying to take credit for everything, all the violence that was happening to certain people. You know, things was happening to people and he was taking credit. He was turning around, he was mocking, you know, people in songs saying, hey, I did this, I did that. Meanwhile, hanging in those certain areas around those certain people like they didn't have feelings about the situation. That's a no-no. You can't do that. I mean, every stepper, shooter, killer guy wants the rest of the people to know that he's about his business. But the way that he went about this is that, you know, things that happen, he will say, hey, I did this, I did that. And basically what that was doing was painting a target on your back. I don't know if the man had a death wish or he really just wasn't gamed up to the point to know that he was making bad decisions. I'm starting to lean towards the latter. You know, he wasn't gamed up to know that he was making the bad decisions. You know, it seemed like everything he did in the last 6 months of his life, unfortunately, was crossing game. He crossed his own game. He backdoored himself, you know, with the stuff that he was pulling off. And that's unfortunate, no disrespect to him, but, you know, a lot of people get out in the streets and they don't know how to play the streets, you know. Hey, I'm going to go out here and do this, and I'm going to forget about all the consequences that come with it, or I don't care, or I'm just a lunatic. I don't know what the case may be, but he crossed his own game and backdoored himself, to tell you the truth. Pillow talk can get dudes hurt out here. You can't be dealing with these females that deal with these other dudes and be telling these females all these different things. It's just something that you can't do, because they're going to run back and get the information to this guy. They're going to know this, they're going to know that. And it's a nasty thing to do when you're a street guy. It's pillow talk. Tell a girl every single thing about everything that's going on, because eventually it'll get back to the person that you're talking about, and it'll open up a can of worms that you're not necessarily ready for. So pillow talking is something that you don't want to do. It's something that was going on with the MO3 thing. It's alleged that he had different females that was giving them drops on ops and all these other kind of things, and I'm pretty sure it was a vice versa type of thing. That's pillow talking. You don't want to involve these girls in no street activity, because as soon as the police put the squeeze on her, she gonna give up all the information. And not only that, give her a few bucks, she'll get a drop on you when you think that she, on your side, and you give her little bags and buy her a little this and that, and then he give her a little bit more, she gonna turn around and get a drop on you, man. So we gotta be mindful, man. When we doing these sort of things out here in the street with all these beefs, we gotta keep it on us. And I'm not talking about have it in the trunk, have it up under the passenger seat. I'm talking about directly on us. Like they say, and I don't mean to be quoting with street quotes and stuff like that, but I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Unless I'm just a lunatic and I don't care if I die or not, but I would rather be judged by 12. You could get your head split, so you got to keep it on you, man. You can't be slipping, man. You want to keep it on you. You know what I'm saying? The guy who does this has the shortest lifespan of anybody in the streets. Our mothers and fathers and them used to tell us back in the day, you think you tough, but there's always somebody out there tougher, right? So when you go out there and you whoop on everybody, chances are it's just a moment of time before you run up on somebody who's going to tear you up. So, I mean, there's always going to be somebody tougher. And 9 times out of 10, when these people get took out, it's not by another person who do all the taking out. It's by somebody who fed up with their nonsense and decided today is the day that he going to pay for all that stuff he did. And that's what happens. You hear it in the hood a lot. Oh, man, they took out a real one. Well, what happened was the real one kept pressing this guy, and all of a sudden he can't handle the pressure no more, so he put an end to it, man. It's better to be number 2 or number 3 than be number 1, because the number 1 guy, they're going to get him first. When the Ricos and stuff like that come down, they're going to get the number 1 guy. They want to kill the number 1 guy. Everybody's after the number 1 guy. But number 2 or 3, the same thing will happen to them, but they not looked at, hard as the number 1 guy. And MO3 wanted to be number 1 at everything he did. And trying to be number 1 in all these different fields of things that they were into is actually putting a target on your back. You can't get out here and in the streets and say, hey, I'm number 1 at shooting, I'm number 1 at killing, I'll whoop you, I'm number 1 at that, I'm number 1 at rapping. Man, that's putting a target on your back, man. Number 1 in the streets is really the first one to go. So if you want to be number 1 in the streets, mark your calendar, because your time is coming. Back in the day, social media didn't exist. So if you wanted to go out and floss and let everybody know you had paper, you had to be in the streets. But that's not the thing now. Everything get taken to social media. And we already know that if you beefing with this guy and, you got beef with this other guy and y'all take it to social media, you got so many spectators that's in it now that you can't get away with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So if something happened to a person, he was beefing with this guy or he was beefing with that guy, it get a police evidence, it get a streets, the streets become the cheerleaders, and all of a sudden the streets is rooting this thing on, and there's money involved at this point, because Mo3 wasn't a street guy no more. In my opinion, once you making it rap, you're not a street guy no more. If you still want to live that life, then we see the results, but you're no longer a street guy. You get bank deposits, you file taxes, you got more money than the average person. So when you make it as a rapper, you're not a street guy, but people still want to be the street guy, and then they put that image on social media. Once you say once on social media that you are the hardest guy walking, then everybody wants to take a shot at you, man. Everybody want to take a shot at you. So I suggest you don't say that you number 1. What you do is everything that comes your way, that you have to defend yourself against, is your chance to be number 1. Put that problem down. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta say it loud. when you put him down and he run back and tell his friends, hey, I thought I could handle dude, but he got me. Yeah, well, he know you number one. Let him know you number one at a time. You don't gotta let the world know all at one time, because then everybody gonna be coming your way. So basically, this video was just to say, man, Mo3 was a talented guy, but he was making a lot of bad decisions. I don't know if he had OGs that told him different things, but we know for a fact the younger guys, they not listening to the OG guys no more, because it's not about who was out there the longest, who got the most wisdom. It's about who got the most money. So when you go to these neighborhoods now, the reason why the older dudes are not in charge, because they don't have the most money. Money talks. All the wisdom and time put in the game walks. It don't matter no more. You know, we don't care how much time you did, how long you've been on the streets, how many fools you took out. It's all about who got the most money, and that's who is in charge. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. So a lot of guys don't listen to the older guys, and I'm like questioning, has he ever, you know, talked to an older guy who let him know, hey man, you got to move certain ways out here. You can't do this, you can't do that, because it don't look obvious to me that happened. And I'm saying that with no disrespect. I'm just saying I'm seeing a lot of young guys, street guys, who are on a crash course, man. You know, if you're gonna be in the streets, have something to do out there in the streets. You know, hey, I'm out here grinding so that I can save this money so I can go over here and open up this business. Now, I'm not saying that Mo3 didn't get it out the mud, because he was out there selling the CDs and he made it happen for himself, and that's commendable. You know what I'm saying? But you can't live, it's not duality, or whatever you call it. You can't live a double life. Once you make it in this direction, go in that direction, man. Leave everything else alone, because it's just not gonna work out for you. You're gonna have a very good short-lived career, man, and that's what's happening to a lot of these dudes, man. So the moral of the video is, man, choose wisely. Everybody ain't a street guy. All you gotta do is, when the problems come your way, don't run. Handle your business. Fight and live another day, man. That is just as simple as that. Everybody ain't a shooter. Everybody ain't a killer. And you damn sure ain't the toughest, man. You're not the toughest. There's always somebody out there better, man. But that's the end of this video, man. It's your boy Trending Ken, man. Subscribe.